Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk here at RSA 2025. Terry Sweeney with Dark Reading, and joining me now is Eyal Benishti, CEO and founder of IRONSCALES. Eyal, thank you so much for joining us on the news desk today.
Thanks for inviting me.
We're talking about deepfakes and agentic AI, big topics here, of course, and has completely captured the industry at large. Let's just start with a bit of context. Talk about how phishing has evolved from, say, its version 1.0. It seems like it's gone already to 3.0. What's fundamentally different today that, say, wasn't true a year ago?
It's a good question. I think few things changed. I think first was the introduction of AI to the world and what AI can do. The second is what's changed is what threat actors are really after. So in phishing 1.0, it was all about making someone click on the link or open the attachment. In phishing 2.0, it's more about like convincing you or luring you to do something, take an action that you're not supposed to do. So it's more the business email compromise, vendor account compromise,
right.
Hey, wire money or pay this invoice, which is fake, by the way, and do all this kind of stuff that you're not supposed to do. No links, no attachment involved.
But now we have basically phishing as a service on dark web platforms, right?
Yeah, you even have agentic phishing as a service with deepfake and some other advanced stuff that we're seeing kind of being offered. So every time there is a new method, and we'll talk about deepfake, but deepfake is a method to phish people at the end of the day. Cyber criminals are monetizing on it very quickly and creating kits and tools in order to make it accessible to more people and make money.
Sure. Let's take a deeper cut then at that. I'm curious what makes deepfake phishing especially dangerous compared to some of the predecessors you mentioned, like business email compromise or credential harvesting. Like in theory, I get why deepfakes are more dangerous, but talk about on a practical level, on a in the trenches level, like what are the dangers that you're seeing?
Yeah, so phishing, like I mentioned, it's the art of convincing, social engineering. It's convincing someone to do something they're not supposed to do. And phishing 1 and 2, they were very textual in nature, which means you'll get a text or you get an email, and you should decide if you can trust what is written in this email or message or not. And same with phishing 2.0. What fundamentally is changing with phishing 3.0 that it's no longer just a textual kind of modality. With the introduction of Gen AI and some other AI tools, now threat actors can clone voices. They can create videos and images and faces of people as much as they like. That can look very much like the CFO or the CEO of the organization. And they can now really take multi-steps in order to try and convince you to do something. Or you can start with an email, then text, and then a voicemail or a Teams or Zoom meeting. Which is something that was not possible before and is available now.
The fidelity is really high. I mean, these are really convincing, just some of the examples I've seen.
Yeah. So sending someone an email and convincing him to do something is doable, and we see phishing kind of being a very successful vector of attack every day. Now just imagine having the same kind of loop being kind of used over different channels and different modalities. Just imagine how easier it's becoming now to convince someone to go and pay an invoice because the CEO sent an email, he left you a voicemail, and now he's calling you on Zoom.
All these tactics and deepfakes are certainly putting a lot of pressure on secure email gateways. Dare I ask, how are they holding up?
You can't secure the email only these days. That's the whole point. This whole concept of securing email. For many years, phishing and emails were like almost synonyms. When you say phishing, people were just going straight to email. Now we are stepping into an era that phishing is no longer just email. So if you're just securing the email, if you're a gateway that's securing email, you can't protect the other channels and modalities that they're going to use against you. So we have to think about communication security, how we're going to secure all the communication, different business communication channels, and make sense in how people are interacting via the different applications.
What's your sense then of how organizations should respond with secure email gateways that don't really sound like they're up to the task?
I think that we are experiencing, even with phishing 2.0, we started to see kind of a big shift from securing the gateway to securing the mailbox, like IRONSCALES and other ICAS vendors are doing. And now we will see another shift from securing the mailbox to securing the other communication channels as well. It's inevitable, and it's something that we are kind of stepping into, and companies will have to make sure that they're putting the right controls in place in order to deal with these type of threats.
Is this also bleeding into like SMS and text world as well?
It's bleeding into any kind of application or device that you're using in order to communicate. Because trust is under attack these days. You can't really trust anything you read, hear, or see, because everything can be generated and everything can be fake. So we need to make sure that we can look at the entire kind of on the broader kind of landscape, attack landscape, attack surface, and make sure that we have a good solution for each step in this kind of kill chain.
Talk a little bit, if you will, about the role that AI plays on both sides of this cyber arms race, on both offense and defense.
AI, like many other technologies, can be used for good and bad. We use it for automation, productivity, on the good side of things, for research and many other kind of advanced stuff. But obviously, once it's become accessible via open source or any other way to cyber criminals and threat actors, they will use it in a bad way. What we are seeing in this arm race is that once AI kinds of tactics to attack organizations were introduced, defenders were starting to use AI as well. Otherwise, it's just like bringing a knife to a gunfight. And now we're seeing another step up, which is that actors will start to gradually introduce agentic type of technologies, AI, but agentic, fully autonomous, and the defenders will have to do the same step. What's fundamentally is about to change is that we'll see the defenders cannot be very reactive. We can no longer be reactive to this type of attack. We have to take a much more proactive actions, and agentic AI will allow us to do that.
I mean, you're drawing sort of a Skynet kind of future for us with machine-on-machine warfare, it seems.
It is, and it's like I said, it's inevitable because the technology it's out there already, and it doesn't seem like anyone is gonna stop it. You see all the kind of the big companies kind of racing, including Google and Microsoft. They are all racing to introduce more agentic platforms and agentic capabilities. So again, the same thing that we're going to use it for productivity and make the world better. Threat actors will use it to make our life much harder and less secure.
I mean, it seems that this is just a continuation of the escalation that we've seen between offense and defense for really decades now, yes?
Yes, exactly that.
With that in mind, give us a little bit of hope. What practical steps can security leaders take to prepare against deepfake-enabled phishing threats? What are some strategies there?
So fight fire with fire. Make sure that you really understand the threat landscape and how things are changing from phishing 2.0 to phishing 3.0. We can no longer kind of think as phishing as an email security problem. We must think about it as a communication security issue, so it's much more broader than that. And AI, which was a great technology, and we're using adaptive AI to secure inboxes, is good against phishing 2.0, but it won't be enough for phishing 3.0. So organizations need to get familiar with the concept of agentic AI and how it's going to play a significant role in defending their environments.
Are we also talking about I think authentication of messaging or of content? I mean, we've used it so far for identity and for those kinds of credentials, but what about for actual content?
So I think in the first phase, we will be able to offer some kind of models to try and authenticate content and how content is being created. But in the long term, we'll just need to be able to better authenticate real human being and kind of make sure that we know how to separate them from agents. Because we will live in a world where agents are doing stuff. Sometimes it's stuff that people are actually doing. So again, when we are jumping on a Teams call or on a WhatsApp call, we will need some better ways to make sure that we can authenticate the person on the other side to make sure that it's a real person.
All right. Well, Eyal, you've left me with a strange mix of both anxiety and hope. So I appreciate both of those things. Thank you so much for doing the Dark Reading News Desk today.
Thanks for having me.
We've been talking with Eyal Benishti of IRONSCALES. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.